back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about? Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it. Only on Cast the Craze. Cast the Craze.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to Cast the Craze podcast. I am your host, Sam the Craze Man Vera, and I am with
George Medina.
George the Dreamer.
You know, I gotta work on my intro. Like, you got your intro pretty much down, I think.
Yes.
I gotta work on something. I gotta practice on my
Yes. You better work.
Wow. Okay.
What was that? Was that RuPaul?
Yeah. RuPaul, you better work.
So this is our second episode with a second guest episode of our comeback show, and we're going to have a special guest on today. Who's that guest?
Louis Cruz from Cruising Comics.
Cruising.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool name, right?
Where's he cruising to?
Well, he's cruising everywhere, bro. He's a very funny gentleman. He's unfortunately and for him, I don't think he feels this way, but he is handicapped. He's in a wheelchair, which is why the name of the comic book company is Cruising. It's kind of like a play on his disability, which I'm telling you this much. This gentleman is a funny guy, and he takes nothing seriously. His disability is not a disability to him. He's been able to do a lot of things. He's a great writer, very funny. He's actually doing stand-up comedy. So, yeah, he's a very interesting guy to have on the show, and I think we're going to have a good time with him.
Oh, cool. So I'm looking forward to that conversation today. But I think we want to talk about, and you can see it up on the screen, the road to New York Comic Con.
Oh, yeah.
How many Comic Cons have you done, George?
Oh, man, I think, how long have they been around? 10 years? 11, 12 years?
Oh, well, yeah.
I think I've only missed, we've exhibited at most, I think we've exhibited at 10, missed 2, but I've been pretty much at like all of them so far. I'm probably going to miss this one, though. I'm not going to be there this weekend.
I think my max was 3.
Was it?
Think,
yeah, well, that's when you missed out. 09, right? When did this thing start?
Yo, easy. We don't want to go that far back in time.
Go back 10 years, dude.
It's been a minute. How about that? Let's see. What time is it? It's been a minute. So I our previous show we talked about commitment versus aspirations, and now I think it's a good segue to this conversation about what it takes to prepare for the big show. Because New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, these shows are not your average run-of-the-mill show. As I got a text, sorry. Yeah. So let's lower that.
Let's just mute it.
Yes. Just mute it. See that? See?
There you go, technology. Or we can mute your phone.
Thank you, Herbert.
There you go.
So that was our engineer.
Herb.
Thanks, Herb.
Good. Hey, Herb.
So yes. So it's not your run-of-the-mill show, and the preparation involved is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
No, it's heavy. But you know what it is? Is like, remember when we used to do the shows? I mean, I think we have to also preface this by saying the road to the preparation for an independent comic book artist or publishing company. And when I say independent, I'm not talking about, like guys like Image I'm not that they're independent, or like IDW or things like that. We're talking about, the guys who print out their books from Kablam, print on demand, 100 books because we don't know how we're going to do this weekend. Let's not go too crazy. Like those guys, and the preparation that they have to go through to get to the show,
Yes, and I think that's a great point you made, because I remember, I think you're like a mule, the amount of stuff you need to pack as an independent.
You don't
right?
have interns. There's no interns.
There's no interns.
It's you, bro.
There's no interns.
It's you.
So let's go real grassroots, hardcore, blood, sweat preparation, which is, all right, low budget, right?
Low budget or no budget?
Limited resources.
Word.
But you still have you raised the money, you booked, you got your table, you got in, you did some social media, and you got your 200, 300 copies, and you're taking it with you to the show. the amount of work that's involved. So let's talk about the shows that you've done with Mass Media. What was some of the preparation you did? You said you did 10 shows.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, the preparation doesn't start. It starts as soon as the last year's convention ended. So if you went to Comic-Con in 2017, you start thinking about 2018 right off the bat. Okay, what are we going to have over there? What are we going to do? Because, again, you're talking about resources, right? We don't have the time to kind of say, all right, well, you know what? We're going to print out 10,000 comics and bring them with us. We're not doing that. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. And we don't have a team to draw the comic book that you want to debut next year. It's you drawing the comic book. It's you writing the comic book. You know what I mean? So you don't have the resources that these companies have. When we talk about resources, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the manpower. Yep. You don't have that manpower. So when we used to do the shows, for example, let's say for like 1 year we wanted to, have, Street Journal for the show. And the prep work for that came early, man. And we printed on demand. So a lot of these on-demand companies, Kablam is one of the biggest ones that I don't know if, I know we used, but you're looking at about a 30-day or like a month in advance before you get your books. So if you're the artist, writer, and colorist and letterer of that book, you have to have that book done months before the show so that you have time to send it to the printer, because if you do like a rush delivery, they'll do it for you, but they'll charge you a lot more money. Right. And now there goes your budget for that money. So
that's a great point you just made. What percentage of independents, unknown independents,
right.
do you think have fallen victim to that last minute rush printing?
Tons, bro. I remember we went to a show, Heroes Con in North Carolina, South Carolina. I had to get my books delivered to the hotel because I didn't do them on time. Because you don't do them on time, you fall short of the deadlines, and that's the thing with unfortunately with a lot of like independents who are working, 9 to 5s. The deadlines, bro, like deadlines are hard to meet because you're doing all that other stuff.
So think about it. So the deadlines. Now you're working with other individuals. So say you're the writer, and you're working with an artist, and you're working with a colorist, right? And then you have to package it all together. And everybody, because it's independent, has a personal life, has real-time, full-time jobs. Yep. And then the reason why people fall victim to the deadlines is because not everybody's on the same commitment level as far as hitting those timelines.
Correct.
And so that's why you see you fall those. So you wind up spending more money than you have, or scrambling to raise the money, because you're already committed to the table and you paid for it. Right. You got your airfare.
That's right.
Everything's done, and you're like, oh, but I did everything but the product.
That's right.
¿Qué pasó?
The product is the most important thing. Right? So now you have 5 books to sell at a convention that's there for 3 days, and you pay for this table, and you're like, what the hell am I going to do?
Well, yes. And I think that's the challenge. I think some of the pitfalls even before that, what's the return on investment? What percentage of independents actually break even?
Yeah, you see, here's the thing, right? Even with like a show like New York Comic Con, for example, right? I think that to go in there as an independent who's, who doesn't have a budget, who isn't, IDW, who aren't these guys, if you go in there thinking that you're going to make money this weekend, forget about that. Forget about that. Like,
forget about it, man.
Forget about it, man. You're not going to make money at this show. Not unless you have, advertising and somebody's helping you pay for this table. And there are a lot of things that got to go right for you to be able to make money. Because if you think about it, the numbers don't add up. You're paying about $950 for a booth at New York Comic Con, right? Or if you want to go to the do you want to get a table?
I'm doing the calculations.
So you're paying all this money, right? Now think about how many books you have to print to break even to cover that table. But then take into consideration how much you're going to pay for the print. So now you got to almost quadruple what the numbers just don't add up as an independent.
Wait, no, let's take it a step back. Let's go backwards before we go forwards, right? Yeah. So, sorry, let's start with.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah, you're getting excited, right? It's like
I'm just going.
Relax.
Bro.
It's like
all right,
there's no foreplay. We need foreplay, right?
So I'm just bang, bang, bang. Go ahead, go.
So
he's like, caress me.
So let's start with the investment in time, the investment in labor, right? That's number one. Then now, let's say there's a website involved, right? So that's an annual expense of maybe $100 for a website. Now people are using Facebook and Instagram or whatever, but everyone always needs a website because most big shows want to see your website.
Yeah.
So say it's like $100, maybe more. I don't know, based on what storage levels you want and all that other stuff, right? So you're paying for that. Then you have to pay for the printing of the books. You have to pay for, let's say you paid for a press release and you paid one of these marketing online to set up.
Big time.
Right?
You
So
big
say
time.
you
Press release. What is that?
let's say if you were smart enough
To do it.
to
No,
do
absolutely.
it, right? Say you did, right? So you got to print it. Now you can't just have the books. You need supporting, material. You need maybe prints. You need maybe postcards to hand out to get people to your table. That costs, right? Yeah. If you're doing anything else,
maybe an ad in their book, the book that they hand out, maybe an ad in that book.
Right. So think about a lot of independents go straight into merchandising, right? And they barely have the capital, so now they have hats and they have shirts and all. They're paying for all this stuff, right? So they have shirts, they got hats, they got posters, they got postcards, they got the comic book. Then you have to buy your airfare, right?
If you're coming from out of town, sure, yeah.
If you're coming from out of town, anywhere from $300 and up.
Yeah.
Hotel for 5 nights, right? Basically,
okay. Wow.
Right? So you're talking about, let's be.
And if you're in New York City, bro, those New York City prices, forget it.
You're gonna have to stay in New Jersey,
word,
right? To
commute
to New York. So say you go to Jersey, you get a place for like $100 a night, right? But you're still paying to get on the bus to get over here, or some people who have the money, they'll Uber it, whatever. But you still got to pay for that, right? So you got the airfare, you got the hotel, and you got the cab. Then you got to account for food. You have to eat, right? So, and you paid for the table, right? So if you take all that, because you probably dropped at $2,500 at least.
Right.
So you'd have to make, just to break even, $2,500. On average, when you talk to a lot of the independents, the unknown independents, they're averaging $300, $500 a show. Right. They're not even coming close to breaking even, but aspirationally, they want to be at the big show. But some of the only show that I made a profit was the last show at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was because I was relentless with the press release and the press kits that I sent to the media. I got put on a Fox affiliated network in San Diego before preview night. I bought an ad in the San Diego guidebook.
You got that back though? You got that back with...
I made everything. That was the first time because of my commissions.
Oh,
because
okay.
I sold out of the books.
Okay, there you go.
I sold out of the books.
You have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I sold out of my, the trade paperbacks that I had and the books that I had, and so it was the commissions that I made a lot of the money. And so I was the first time, but I had to do all those things. I had to reach a bigger audience. I had to buy I thought, you had 100,000 people going to San Diego Comic-Con, right? So I bought a full page ad in the book. So people were looking for, there's Needle in My Toilet. Where's that at? I got on the news network in the morning show. So people were like, I want to find that cat over there. So not many people have that opportunity, or are as a big pain in the rear as I am.
Well, you got to plan ahead. And I think that yes. Right there, what you're talking about was experience. That was you failing at other shows yes. over and over and over again and saying, hey, why am I failing? What's missing? What am I not doing right? Damn, I need some more exposure. I need exposure. I need people to know that I'm here. Because it's such a big show, you get lost. You know what I mean? So you needed the exposure. You said, I'm gonna go to the news. I'm gonna be on TV because that's the only way they're gonna know where I am. And then didn't you have something in their book in their
the full page ad.
The full page ad. So that's how they found you though. A lot of people
yes.
found you through
from
that,
the book.
Right? Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
And it was a risk. It was a risk that I took, but I did San Diego Comic-Con a couple years in a row, and I've learned from the successes and failures. And I said, all right, I got to do something different. And that's what I did. But it is a very expensive endeavor, especially if you're an independent, which is why I recommend it's the same philosophy that comedians have, right? Do a lot of the small shows. You're paying $50 to $100 for a table, right? You already have your material. You don't have to go crazy. Do some stuff on social media. Get the word out and just get people to talk about your product by doing it and get a build up. Do a small shows, 12 small shows a year, one a month, for 2 years as an independent before you decide to break the bank and go the route of the big show.
See, because I think for me, right, New York Comic Con, unless, like you said, unless you have that following. I remember we went. I'm gonna get to my point, but remember when we went to Emerald City Con in Washington?
Yes.
Remember that? Who the hell had that line that was going around the table, dude? It was Invader Zim. Dude, like that guy. See, that's the kind of crowd you want at New York Comic Con for yourself. But you're not gonna get that crowd unless you do some of the things that you're talking about. Now, it's probably gonna take more than just 12 shows for that year, but it's a start. Now, the only thing that I will say about New York Comic Con, I think that being there for so many years, I think that what we learned from it was that, number one, you weren't going to make your money back. But number two is that you can't go in there with that mindset, but you got to come out with something. So you have to use that platform to reach, whether it's an executive or whether it's another company that you want to work with or to network. You're in the building. Find these people. Make time in the schedule. Not to just sit back in your table and look like you're not having a good time because nobody's coming to your table.
This is like waiting at a prom for someone to ask you to dance.
Yeah, don't waste your time doing that.
Yes.
Come with a group. If you're gonna pay all that much money, you have at least 3 or 4 badges. Come with a group that's gonna help you sell, and it helps to have people who are outgoing and will talk to a lot of people, because those are the people that are going to get them to your table. Because you can't sit behind a table at a show this big and put your head down and just draw.
Right.
You're not going to do anything, dude. And if that's the plan, then just like you said, do your 12 small shows and just hang out and do that.
Right.
But when you go to New York Comic Con, make sure you know what panels are what, where everybody is. I remember when we were doing crazy comic shows, and remember when we went to Philly and we were doing those shows, we would plan out time to say, okay, let's go to this place or to this panel and see if we can talk to this person after the panel. And we were able to talk to Silvestri a couple of times. And,
yes.
And those were the things that now you're learning. Now you're saying, okay, what's the next step for me to do? Because you got to use these things and I'm saying, if this is your first, second, third time at New York Comic Con, if you're like a grizzled vet of the Comic Cons, don't listen. You don't need to listen to me. But if you're like a brand new guy who's like very excited about, oh man, I'm gonna be at New York Comic Con and this is my first book and go in there, go hard, be enthusiastic, but also be realistic. This is what I have to do. I have to go in there and I have to make sure that I talk to the right people that'll take me to the next step.
Right. But I think the biggest thing, if you're going to spend the money to go to the big show, because if you're going to go to the big show, you don't necessarily have to have a table to network. But if you're going to be there and your goal is to make money, you have to have a twofold strategy. Number one, it'd be good if you had somebody that you can trust to work your table, right? So that way you can go to some of these venues. But you also need to work the floor and work the crowd and get them to you, because they're looking for the illustrators behind X-Men and Batman and all these guys. They're looking for the Casadas of the world and the Turners of the world and McFarlanes of the world. They're not looking for you. They're not looking for me. They're not.
It's just
you have to
reality.
give them a reason. They have a budget, and their budget is specifically geared towards something, whether it's a collectible they're looking for, a signed autograph they're looking for. So why do I want to stop and give you money? And so that you have to have, number one, a 30-second pitch, and you have to be passionate and you have to be engaged. I think the frustrating thing that I see all the time where at conventions is that everyone's sitting waiting for a date at the tables. And these are creators that worked all year for the big show, and then when they get there, they're sitting down with their heads down drawing the entire time. You had that time to do it at home. Unless you're doing a commission, put that pencil away, stand up, get in front of your table and hustle, because you need to make money. your wife's gonna say, "Where's the rent?" Right? You gotta pay the rent. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills?
Man.
Right? So I think that's the key, right? And so if you're going to commit to something like that, you gotta hustle. There's no other way unless you're there by yourself and you're stuck at the table. Have some sort of bags so this way you can relieve yourself. But you need to make certain that
Bags, bottles, bro. I mean, Jesus.
You can fill a bag faster, and it's neater.
He's like, trust me, I've done it.
Yeah, bottles is just messy. But
You gotta have great aim for bottles.
trust me, I've been there.
Trust me.
But I think that's the key. You have to put in the work, and as frustrating as it sounds, there's no other way around it, guys. You're talking about, for a country guys that have been doing the convention scene for a long time. We got into the Big Apple Comic Con, the Big Apple Con, back in the days when, what's his name? Michael Carbonaro that runs Big Apple, and it was at the New Yorker Hotel, and I negotiated my way to a table. I did a big piece for him, a big poster promoting the Big Apple, and he loved it, and he gave us a table, and that was what we did, and we hustled our way to get in these venues, and we didn't stop there. So I think the best advice I give, if you're going to spend the money, get your money's worth, man. Who wants to? It's frustrating to go home empty pockets and like, damn, I'm in the red again, right?
The road to Comic-Con is very expensive, but once you get there, man, I mean, and listen, it's like a drug, bro. It's bad for you, but like you still want it. You still want that hit. So next year you'll be back. Even if you fail, as many times as you fail behind that table, you'll find that money to come back again, but come back smarter.
And speaking of that, I remember when I announced that I was getting back into the game. I had a group of guys ask me if I wanted to split a booth at New York Comic Con. I was like, I don't even have the material ready. There's no way I'm going to invest in something where just for the sake of being there, I'll just get a regular professional badge and go there and just walk the floor. So that was just me understanding where I am. Next year's a different story. I'm working this year for next year. But I also know that if I'm going to do a big show, I have to be present and I have to be all in. So that's the biggest advice I give you guys. Add up the manpower, add up the dollars that it's costing you to, and then say, what do I need to do to make this money back? You don't want to just break even. You want to make some sort of profit. You want to feel good about your investment. What do you need to do to make that happen?
Well, and also you want to make a splash, right? You want to make sure people remember you. It's nice to make the money. It's nice to, bring back, you paid $950, come back with $1,000. That's cool. But how many fans did you make out there? And where is that going to go from there? Yes. So that's what you got to come back with. If you're spending that much money, you better come back with results. And the results equals fans, equals more money being made after the show,
Right. And that's critical, because if you're going to do a big show and they buy every issue, make sure you have something in the pipeline that's going to come out in the next month.
Make sure you have the second one.
Right. Yes. Have something ready, so that way when you build that fan base and they go and they follow you and subscribe or whatever it is, that you have something for them. Because if you don't have something else until the following year, failed and you got to start all over
you're forgotten.
again.
You're done.
You're done.
Because there's too much competition. Dude, if you go into these conventions now, Sam, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a book. And everybody's art looks better than the next guy. The art. I'm like, holy cow. Like, you have to be able to compete. And the only way to compete is you have to be consistent. Consistency is key,
Yes. And so George brought up a good point. We talked about everybody's art is getting better and better. Don't worry about that. Worry about the passion and the commitment you've put into, and the dedication and time you put into your craft, into your story. Because if you are passionate about it and you put your heart and soul into it, people will connect with it. And, think about how many people, closed their doors on Charles Schultz, right? On George Lucas. How many rejection letters these guys received. Those are the things that, Michael Turner, how many times he was turned down before he blew up and he had acid, God rest his soul. So don't worry about whether or not your style is in line with what's trending today. Worry about the total package. Does your story have heart? Can they feel it? Is your character likable, relatable, recognizable?
See, you're right, because I say that all the time. Like, the great artwork will sell you the first issue, but a great story will have them buying the book over. And don't look at The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? I remember you put me onto to Invincible. The Robert Kirkman his one of his first books. It's a superhero story. So what? I've seen 1,000 of them, but it was the story.
Yes.
You were like, what this thing is amazing.
Yes.
And he's Walking Dead, same thing.
Right. That's the biggest thing. For those of you who are attending you at Comic Con, I wish you all the best and the success. And I'm hoping that you have put in your work and it pays off. For those of you who walk away in the red, you gotta just my recommend would be go back, revisit your strategy, your plan, and adjust if you're going to do it again. Because it's just not worth it, because you're competing with Hollywood and the big budget companies, and if you're not doing your part to make some noise, no one's gonna hear it.
Absolutely right.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So what we got going next?
All right, so let's take a little break real quick. I'm gonna get in contact with our friend Lewis, have him call in, and then we'll start the I Am Spotlight.
Okay, cool. So.
Caller.
Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. Herbert, you pressed too many buttons.
Damn, wrong button.
So we're just waiting for our guest, Mr. Cruz, to call in. So while we're waiting for him, here we go.
He is.
Unknown.
And hello there.
Hello.
Lewis, what's up, buddy?
We're good, Jorge.
What's going on, my friend? Everybody, this is Lewis Cruz from Cruising Comics fame. Welcome to the show, Lewis. I have here Mr. Sam Vera.
How's it going, buddy?
Hello. How you doing?
How's it going? Welcome to Catch Craze, and thank you for being our second guest on our rebirth of the Craze.
Thank you for having me.
So how you doing, man? How's everything out there in the Bronx?
A little warm, and now it's getting windy, but it's all right. It's quiet for a change.
Nice. Well, listen, I was telling Sam a little bit about you and how you have Cruising Comics, and I wanted to ask you, so you tell us exactly where the idea behind Cruising Comics came about.
Cruising Comics came from my last name, and due to the fact that I'm in a wheelchair, I'm always cruising around. So
I like how
I'm
you
always
just
cruising around.
go ahead.
You know?
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
that's where it came from.
Cool. So tell us about yourself, your background, how'd you get into comics?
I've always had a thing with writing. I've always wanted to be a writer. I didn't know how to get into writing, and then I met these guys at Mass Media Studios at a con, and they gave me the idea to actually do something in terms of, writing comics. These dudes are a little crazy, but I like them.
So wait, Lewis. So hold on. So you're telling me that you didn't have anything done before you met up with us at the convention?
Yeah, way before that. I met you guys years ago.
Yeah.
You, Anibal,
Yeah. And Johnny.
Mr. Smith,
Yeah. No.
Johnny, yeah.
Yeah. No. We met a while back, but I thought that you already had stuff out. I didn't realize that was the first.
No.
Wow. So then you.
No. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone in your thing that he had in your booth that he had. I haven't seen him since then, but he had something, and he's the one that was talking to me. He was a short dude. I forgot his name right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was real cool with me. He was one of the guys that was with you at that time.
Yeah, it was probably Moses. You're
Real,
probably
real
talking about
cool. Yeah.
Moses.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, cool.
Probably.
All right, so
Probably. Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about what you have going on since. Like, I know that you have the She Wolf, right? You have a few
Yes,
stories that
I have
you've
my
written.
Jennifer the She-Wolf.
Hmm.
I have my Jennifer the She-Wolf. I wrote a comic book for another company called The Cursed and Damned, #1. I wrote a illustrated sci-fi book with pictures and text side by side called Fuel of Life. I wrote for another company called Alpha, and I did an erotica from a handicap's point of view called The Workout, and I did Bloodkill. And currently, I'm working on getting my book, sci-fi book, published through Darkfire Press with Mr. DeSantis.
That's funny. We had JM on last week. That's funny, man. So
Yeah.
all right, so tell us. Okay, so I know you have a bunch of titles, and I know you basically named all of them. But can you tell us a little bit about each one? Which one? You know what? Let me do this. Which one is your favorite?
To be honest,
Yes,
my Jennifer.
Jennifer is your
Jennifer the
favorite.
She-Wolf.
All right, so let's talk about Jennifer.
Yeah.
Tell us about what is Jennifer about, how did the idea come, and all of those good things.
Jennifer the She-Wolf is about a female werewolf in 1922 who was turned into a werewolf against her will on the way home with her husband to pick up her kids from her husband's mother's house. And they see an animal eating something else on the floor, on the ground ahead of them while they were driving home. And it turned out to be another wolf who killed her husband, turned her into a werewolf, lives in a house. She told her that she was never allowed to leave or go visit her kids, or he'll kill them all. Now, what she don't know is that her daughter, against her will, got turned into a vampire, but didn't get trained on how to be a vampire, and ended up killing the grandmother and the brother, which she lived with, to sustain herself.
Jeez.
And Jennifer, in today's time, meets up with this guy in a wheelchair. Hint, hint, because it's like me, kind of. I have a habit of putting wheelchair people in books.
Oh, okay.
Because we exist, even though you guys don't believe we exist.
Wow.
Yeah, handicapped people exist. And in the story, there's a handicapped kid who sees what she did, turn into a werewolf and kill these zombies. And he goes up to her and says, I know what you did. I saw what you did. I want to be like you. She warns him that it's not a gift, it's a curse. But he's willing to take the chance. But the daughter was hired to kill her by someone else, not knowing that that's her mother. And when she realizes that's her mother, they will confront each other. And they will, basically the question will ask, how is it that you can care for him, but you couldn't come back for me?
Interesting.
And that's the at least 4-ish miniseries that I'm having planned.
Is it an ongoing story, or are you doing maybe like a one shot, or how's the story structured?
I want to do 4 issues first, see how that goes, and then once the 4 issues are done, I'd probably take it to the daughter's point of view, what she's been through, and then come back to Jennifer.
I see. Okay.
So I'll probably do like a one shot with the daughter, and then come back to Jennifer. She will.
Gotcha. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit about your writing process. So you have an idea, right? And you start jotting it down. Do you use an outline, or do you go right into a script, or how do you break down your writing process?
Well, I mean, in case you guys in the audience, well, I know you know her, but in case the audience doesn't know, I'm physically disabled, and I'm not completely physically disabled. Like, I could walk, but my hands are limited. So what I do is I put a pen in my mouth and I write with my mouth. Yeah. And what I do is I'll jot it down on a notebook paper, or write the script down on a notebook paper, and then I will transfer what I wrote there onto either the iPad or computer. So like that, I wind up editing myself as I'm going along, taking out a scene, adding a scene. So I kind of torture myself because I should have done it all on a computer first, but it's my method.
No, man,
so
that's amazing, dude. And I gotta
and
say,
then what And then what the artist doesn't pick up, I'll either sketch it out for them and send it to him, so that he can know more or less what what I have in mind.
Gotcha. No, and what I was gonna say is, man, you're really an inspiration, bro, because you don't let any disability stop you from what you want to do. I mean, I know that you've been writing and you have a lot of stuff
Yes.
on Amazon and things of that nature. Things that you'd be like, wow, you have books on Amazon. So you do have books on Amazon, but now you're also venturing into something different, right? You're doing a little stand-up comedy.
Yes, I am, from a sitting down point of view.
From a sitting down point of view. So tell us a little bit about
yes.
that.
Yes, I do stand up from a sitting down point of view. I've done 3 shows so far. I did 2 at Broadway Comedy Club and 1 at Rodney Dangerfield. And I basically tell jokes of basically handicapped people, because who else can talk crap about a handicapped person but a handicapped person? If you say a joke about a handicapped, you'll probably get booed or something. But if I say it not only makes people laugh, but it kind of like opens their mind to the possibility, like, oh, these motherfuckers are funny too.
Now,
they're people.
No, absolutely. Now, what has the reception been from other people with disabilities? Are they positive about it, or do they say, "Hey, what are you doing, man? You're kind of like, making us look bad"?
I don't know. I haven't bumped into any that's had anything wrong. No positive, positive or negative. I haven't bumped into any, because I'm afraid they how should I say this? I'm afraid they're gonna jump me if I say, how handicapped people jump you, right?
How do they jump you, Louis?
People in wheelchairs will gather around my wheelchair and start jumping up and down, because that's how they jump you.
You're ridiculous.
People with disabilities, just a joke, okay?
Yes.
Oh God. See, only you can make those jokes, though, Louis.
Yes.
Exactly. See? Yeah.
They're hysterical, dude.
Yeah.
So what's next, man? What's going on? Are you doing any other shows? Are you going to be at the New York Comic Con? What are you doing?
I'm going to be at the New York Comic Con as a spectator. I'm not going to be behind the table or anything. I don't want to. I think it's more fun when you're walking around.
Gotcha.
And meeting people, because I've been lucky to meet, just rolling around. I've met Vin Diesel. I've met, all these different actors that, it's funny, because whenever I do that, Anibal from mass media gets like, "Yo, where you bump into this guy at?
Yeah. No, you do. You always come back with pictures with celebrities and stuff like that. It's like you always find them.
Yeah, and I use my handicap to its fullest,
Yeah, this guy.
It's great. I get free parking and end of the line.
Oh wow. Hey, so quick question for you. As far as your work, as far as your comics and your stand-up comedy, what are you promoting next? What can people expect from you in the next couple of months?
In the next couple of months, they can expect Jennifer to issue number 2, which I've been holding back on. I apologize for that. And because I've had to redo the pages for issue number 1. Right. And then the next thing they can expect is the sci-fi novel, The Day They Made Contact, which will be hopefully published by Darkfire Press from Mr. DeSantis.
Oh, nice. Okay, what's that about?
It's you ever heard of the Roswell incident?
Yes.
Supposedly, a UFO crash landed here in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. What if those people came back and want to know what happened to their people? Found out that we stole their technology and wound up killing these aliens. Because if you ever look at real history, from 1947 to today, computers were the size of closets. Now they fit around your wrist. Mm-hmm. So what happens if, and it takes place in 2047, which is 100 years later. So what happens if they find out that we stole their technology? They come under the guise of, we come in peace. But there's another race disguising themselves within that race who wants to warn humanity that they don't come in peace.
Right.
So this one alien becomes kind of friendly with the human boy, and with every touch they give each other, non-sexual, like a mother and son type thing, he'll gain a certain ability from her, and she'll give birth to him.
Interesting.
in 97 years because he dies in the story,
Oh wow.
but she'll give birth to him 97 years later. He'll live in her mind, and what he thinks has only been 3 weeks will actually be 97 years. And what it is it's female alien species. Her species give birth to themselves,
And this
and
is
she'll sacrifice her cycle to give birth to him.
gotcha. And now, is this a prose or is this some kind of graphic novel? What format is it in? Is it
Straight novel,
okay?
straight
It's a
text novel,
it's a novel.
prose.
Okay, good man.
Yeah,
That's
straight prose. It's called The Day They Made Contact.
excellent, man. Excellent. We're looking forward to seeing that.
Thank you. Yeah, and then after that, hopefully, I want to do another one, which I started writing the first 2 chapters called Rainbow, but not rainbow the way you spell it. You know, the different color rainbow. No, it'll be Rainbow, REIGN, because the main character will reign over the land of Bo. And that's about a kid in a wheelchair who was born physically disabled, but he came from the rainbow world. And in order for you to be born into our world, you have to physically be born by a woman. But he was cursed by a wizard in his realm, and when he was born into us, he was born physically disabled. So when he goes back to that realm, he wakes up realizing that he's physically normal, but has to learn how to walk again. And realize that, it's not easy walking, so I take him through baby steps to where a baby falls down when they first start walking.
Right.
I do it like that. And he sees a little monkey laughing in the bushes, but come to find out it's a 13-foot Bigfoot that grabs him, puts him on a tree, and tells him, shh, I need you to be quiet. Something is chasing you. And that's where I left it off at.
Okay.
It's the first 3 chapters.
Wow. All right.
And it's called Rainbow.
I have a question regarding the whole UFO thing. What was your influence? Are you a UFO enthusiast? What got you to want to get involved in that?
Dude, he was gonna raid Area 51, right? Right, Lou?
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah."
What got me involved? No, what got me involved in that is as a kid, my father, because I'm physically disabled again, my father and mother encouraged me to read books because I was always getting into trouble because of my mouth. So my father would give me these conspiracy books to read, and that got me interested in just what would happen if these things came back.
So what's your position? What do you believe?
What do I believe? I was believed to believe in religion, even though it's kind of weird. Do I believe aliens exist? Yeah, I don't want to say I do, because it's a cruel thing to believe that we are the only things living in the universe. It's very cruel. It would be wrong to think that.
Right.
It would almost be like you're being a twin, but you never met your twin. It was taken away, but you have that feeling that something is there. That there's something else.
Right.
I don't know if I'm using the right metaphor, but there has to be.
Right. No, yeah.
And not for nothing, I hope aliens are physically disabled. No, I'm just kidding.
He said, "Jeez, I tell you, this is."
Well, I guess it evens the odds, right?
That would be amazing.
No, I have noticed that you have a couple of stories that involve aliens and things of that nature. So you're definitely like to explore that genre.
Yes, it's very fun. I mean, I don't know if I like watching this program called Ancient Aliens, and it's stuff that I've always told my father, and somebody just televised it. I'm like, finally,
Right.
Finally. Right.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on the fact that most recently the military has been releasing classified footage of unidentified flying objects that they could not comprehend how it was navigating through our airspace?
I believe they had no choice. I believe that with this whole thing with raid Area 51, and it's hard to, for me, it's hard to hide something when everybody carries a camera now on their phones.
Right.
There's only so much you can hide things, but I don't think they had a choice. I think the truth is about to be revealed within the next 10 years.
So you think that they're trying to get ahead of it? They're saying they're gonna find out
Yeah,
anyway. Let's just start giving it to them. Like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Because if you really think about it, this is one of the few countries that actually hides this fact. I mean, every other country's like, hey, there's aliens. You know, so
Oh shit!
you know, Brazil doesn't hide it. Brazil televises it at the 7 o'clock news. So come on.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Brazil is trying to increase their tourism because they're really having a hard time with the economy.
Yeah.
So it's probably just to get more people to travel over there and
See some UFOs.
see some UFOs.
Now,
UFOs. But yeah.
now don't take this personally, but I believe, I should say this without offending anybody. I have an easier time believing in UFOs and things that are from this world than I do in religion.
I gotcha.
And I'm sorry to say it, but it's just, I don't know. It's like you could see these things, you know? You can't see. And it's funny because they always tell you, oh, you can't see, but you feel him. No, I don't feel him. I don't want to feel him right now. You know? No, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but that's just the way I feel it. It's easier for me to believe in something that you can see, feel, touch, rather than something that you can only assume was there in the beginning.
Right. Well, it's definitely
And even
inspired.
even
you.
yeah, even if you look at it from that point of view, like the let's say for example, this is my theory on this. If you travel back 1,000 years and you appear out of nowhere, they're gonna write down in the history books, person appeared out of nowhere and wrote with, and mind you, you have a red pen and you're writing something on paper. He wrote with blood from his fingers and then disappeared. Why? Because they don't know what a pen is. Nobody knew what a pen was back then. So that's like me in my wheelchair. If I go back there, like 2,000 years ago, they're going to say I was riding around in a chariot. Because that's the only thing that had wheels at that time was a chariot.
Right.
That's the only thing that moved people back and forth. That's the only understanding they have. They don't know what UFOs are. That's just something we gave it.
Right.
Sorry. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you know what though? But it's like it's very interesting how, like your dad putting those books in your hand as a kid, inspire you today to write stories like this, about what most people would think they're conspiracies, so
Yes.
it's just very interesting how
I thank him a
that
lot.
happens.
Yeah, I thank him a lot for that. But it turned on him, Jorge.
Yeah.
Because then he started giving me all these religious books, and I started asking, wait a minute. Adam and Eve did all this?
Oh,
Adam and Eve did all this? Hell
You
no.
created
Yeah.
a monster.
Yeah.
Way to go, Dad. But
Yeah,
no, man.
exactly.
Listen, Louis, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. You've been a pleasure. It's been fun. Let us know
Thank you,
where
guys.
we can find your stuff. Give us some websites. What do you got?
I have my stuff available at Amazon. I have my books available at what's that one? What's the one? The comic Kablam. Not Kablam. Indie Planet.
Indie Planet, right?
At Indie Planet.
Okay.
Yeah, just go into Cruz and Comics or check out the individual names, and they should come up.
Okay. So, do you have a website?
All right. No, that's the funny thing. I've yet to have a website, and I'm doing great without one.
Interesting. All right, cool. Well, I guess they can follow you on
Yeah,
Instagram and Facebook and stuff, right?
Yes, follow me on Instagram at Cruz and Comics,
Okay. And spell
and
cruising.
Facebook I am
Spell cruising for us.
Cruzing, CRUZINCOMICS.
All right, so Cruising
Cruising
Comics.
Comics.
So yeah, look up Louis Cruz on cruisingcomics.com on Instagram. Jennifer the She-Wolf also has her own Instagram page, right? And they can probably get that
Yes.
from your regular page. Okay, cool. Yes, so definitely follow Louis on those social networks. And Lou, I will talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you so much for being on the show.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, buddy.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, buddy. So,
Yes, sir.
that was a pretty interesting conversation.
Well, you started it.
So, the opinions of Louis Cruz are not the opinions of Castor Craze. I just want to put that out there, so that we all understand he is in a wheelchair, physically impaired and handicapped, and so he's also a comedian. So he uses that as his point of reference in his books and his comedy.
Yes.
Anyone who took offense to it, it's coming from a person who actually live in it. So you shouldn't take offense to it at all.
He's very comfortable in his own skin.
Yes.
You know, and that's what I like about Lewis. He doesn't pity himself. He doesn't feel like, hey, I'm at a disadvantage because it is. He looks at it as a strength. He's like, this is my strength. This is my superpower. I can get to the front of the line whenever the hell I want. I can meet celebrities whenever the hell I want. And he uses it. He owns it. It's like his badge of honor. And I admire that in him, man. He's a funny dude, man. He's a great guy. He's very creative. He reads a lot. I mean, his ideas are just out of control. He didn't talk about the erotic stuff that he had, but he's funny, man. He's funny. But thank you so much, Lou, for being on the show, man.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. This is our second guest so far in fall of 2019. We'll have some more guests coming down the pipe. If you are listening to this show and you are a working artist, writer, animator, and you want to get on Castor Craze, just hit us up on Facebook or Instagram or on YouTube. Basically, we're on multiple platforms. Subscribe to our show, send us an email, and tell us about you and your product, and we can get you on the show, and you can actually talk to our audience as well.
Absolutely.
What do you got going on?
What do I got going on? As far as
Your books,
stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have. I'm working on a story now. It's an untitled project that I'm working on. I'm still in the developing stages of it. I've been working on it for a little while. A lot of my stuff has been, Russ 5377, Wonder Duck has a lot of has been very all ages. This is going to be a little more mature, so I'm looking forward to it. And I'll have more news about that as soon as I complete a script. And I'm also actually working with Jonathan Syfax. We're revamping the Street Journal. We're giving it a whole reboot. Everything's being rebooted. I was talking to you remember Omar, right? Solis? Omar? Oh,
Omar Solis,
yeah, of course. So he was talking about how he's very happy that Catch the Craze has gotten a reboot. He's like, everything's getting reboots nowadays. So that's getting a reboot, and we're hoping to have that done pretty soon. So
that's pretty cool. And on my end,
what do you got?
I got Forbidden in the works. Forbidden is a fantasy story that combines old world and new world in a smorgasbord of deceit and conflict and drama and heartache.
Wow.
And it's just mixed bag of just good versus evil. It's going to be fun. I'm on the last chapter right from the first arc, and it's over 100 pages of amazing art. The first two chapters were illustrated by none other than Mr. Arroyo, Anibal Arroyo, and the rest of the book is illustrated by a talented artist, and I will announce his name when I start promoting the product. So it's really good stuff, and I'm working on the back end on Disneyland My Toilet, which I'm writing and illustrating myself, and that's it. Just getting ready for next year, and the big thing is going to be really the trade paperback, the graphic novel of Forbidden next year. That'll be my first big investment into 2020.
Sweet, man. Yeah, no, definitely. Do you have a website that you're putting up for Disneyland My Toilet, or for the
website will be coming soon. It's because Catch the Craze podcast is on Podbean, right? So, but it'll be Catch the Craze, and it's just the books will be on the Catch the Craze website, catchthecraze.com. Still in development, but if you want to subscribe to our show through Podbean, it's catchthecraze.podbean.com. If you want to, we're on iTunes, which is now Apple Podcast, because they converted over, making things complicated. We're on Google Play. We'll be on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Twitter, everything. So get down with the get down. Give your boy a shout out. Tell us what you think. Who would you like to have on the show? Again, we're really indie focused, and it's whether it's small press to mainstream independence. We're really indie focused, and
Dude, I'm talking about indie. When I say artists, I'm talking about musicians, comedians, bakers. Like I don't care what you do. If you're doing it independently, you're great. And come out and talk to us. He said bakers.
I like a chocolate fudge cake.
Dude, I had some. You ever had panna cotta?
I'm not Pentecostal.
Okay, but that dessert, dude, is amazing.
Panna cotta? Never heard of it.
Oh man, it's great. Anyway, whatever.
I
digress.
I'm not worldly. I'm limited in my scope.
I'm not worldly.
So George is the one that goes out into the real world and travels. And
you're busy doing this podcast, bro.
Yes, I'm in the grind. I'm getting my grind on. That's it.
Nah, good man.
But it was a good show. We thank you for listening. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Thank you for Mr. Cruz for cruising on down to our show and sharing some laughs and your humor. And good luck at the New York Comic Con. Even though you're not presenting, you're there attending. And good luck to everybody at the New York Comic Con.
Yeah, anybody who's going out there, have some fun.
Yes.
I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Crazy. Who's the craziest? I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Crazy. Who's the